Good morning. We're gonna wait for some people to join and then we'll get started on today's craft. Hello. So for today, we are going to be making paper flowers. With Mother's Day coming up on Sunday and it being spring, I thought this would be something fun to do. And you can make it for anyone you care about or anyone in your home or friends. So for today, what you're gonna need is some scrap paper, something to attach it to, glue or tape, and some scissors. I decided I'm going to use pencils today for mine, but you could use straws or sticks or pens or anything that's like a stem of a flower. And I'm using some scrap paper that I found around my house, but you could also use a newspaper or construction paper or just any paper you have, and you could color it yourself. But I thought it'd be fun to see what it would be like to use different pattern paper. So the first thing you're gonna do is, I already cut it down to size, but it should be about 3 by 9 inches long. So 3 on the short side and 9 inches long. And this is just gonna make sure that you can curl it the correct way or tape it along it. So what I'm gonna do now is, when I cut it, I wanna make sure I'm not cutting fully through the paper. So I'm gonna draw a line a little bit up. So if I draw a line here, I'm then going to take a flat object so I can draw a straight line. If you have a ruler, that's great. If not, I'm using a book because the binding of it can create a straight line going across. So I'm gonna take my pencil and trace along the paper. So when you look at it, it has a line going straight across. And I'm gonna make sure when I cut, I only cut down to that line and I don't keep going. So for the first flower we're gonna make, it's gonna look like this. So I'm gonna be cutting 1/2 inch cuts along my paper. So I'm gonna take my scissors, and you can measure it out, but I'm just gonna do it by eye so that we can do this. So I cut all the way, let me make sure you can see. I cut it and I stop right at that line and I don't keep going. I'm gonna keep going all the way along it, so let me do that. And this works really well with any types of paper. I used newspaper earlier today, and it would work with computer paper or any junk mail that you have in your house. It's fun to use different magazines that might have different patterns or colors. And this is just a fun way that you can make something at home for people you care about, but they'll last and you can keep them around the house. I decided to use pencils because then when I'm writing, it's a fun little pencil to use, but I can still use the tip of it and sharpen it if I need to. So now that I've cut all this, it looks like this, and I'm gonna take the pencil that I'm using. We're gonna use this one today, and I'm going to take my tape and tape it right to the top there. If you don't have tape, you could use glue or hot glue. Hello to anyone coming in right now. So I'm gonna take my tape and attach it to my pencil. Again, this would work with any other type of thing that looks like a stem. It could be a branch that you find outside. It could be a pen around your house if you have straws in your house. So now that I've attached it like this, I forgot a step. Never mind, we're not attaching it yet. Sorry about that. We're gonna have to curl these. Hello. So I'm taking my pencil and I'm putting it around one of the things and I'm curling it inwards like this. So then when I take the pencil out, it leaves a curl. So you can do that with multiple of them at a time if you want, or you can do it one at a time. I am going to do this quickly for us so that we can see one other type of flower we can make. If anyone has questions, you can ask them while I'm doing this. It just takes a minute. Another flower you can make that I'm not going to show you today is just by cutting out flower shapes in your paper and taping or gluing them onto your pencil. And you could make a stem like I'm going to show you later. So now that we have this, my favorite flower is a sunflower, which is another one you could make with this. Hello. But also irises and different flowers are really fun, and this is a great thing to give to people you care about. So now I'm gonna go on with it all curled up like this, and I'm gonna tape it to the top of my pencil like this. So it's gonna look like that right now, and you're gonna take it and start wrapping it around your pencil. Okay? So as it goes down, you're overlapping it a little bit so that there's no holes in it. And you're gonna take another piece of tape and tape it off at the end. Now I'm gonna show you one other way to make a flower before we move on to decorating the stems. So now you're gonna take a piece of paper the same way we did before, and I'm going to draw that line around the bottom so that we don't cut off any part of it fully. I'm just freehanding it right now. So again, it'll look like this. It's harder to see on this one. And for this one, you're gonna cut 1/4 inch petals. So it's going to be more like a fringe on yours. So by doing this, you're gonna cut it and you're gonna cut them closer together. So it starts to look more like this. And this is going to end up looking more like a daisy. So I'm gonna finish cutting off the fringe for us. And you can use regular paper for this. You could color your own designs if you wanted. Anything to make it your own, make it creative. It doesn't have to look like any flower you would find out in nature. This is something fun and creative that you can do at home. And it's a great way to use scrap paper you have around your house while creating something beautiful that your friends and family can look at. So now that I have fringe made, I have fringe that looks like this, and it's all cut up. So I'm gonna take this and attach it to my next pencil. And again, you're gonna attach it right at the top. But this is going to wrap around the pencil a little differently. So now it looks like this, and what you're gonna do is wrap it around itself, not bringing it down the pencil, so that it becomes looking more like this, all wrapped together. So I'm gonna tape that off again. And again, you could use glue. If you have hot glue, you could use that. Anything that you can attach the paper to what you're making the stem with. So now mine looks like this on the top and like that. Something fun for this that you could do, I don't have any, but if you had a pencil top eraser, you could put it and that becomes the center of your flower. If you look at mine, you can see that I have the one that was already on the pencil and it looks like the center. You could also, if you don't have an eraser on the top, ball up a little piece of paper and glue it on the inside. So now that we have the two types of flowers we're making for our bouquets, we're gonna make the stems a color. So I chose some green scrap paper that I had around the house. You could color your paper green, you could choose to do something else. Again, these are really creative ones, so they don't have to look fully like a flower. So now that I have strips of paper, I cut them down so that I'm gonna add multiple to each. I'm gonna take a piece of tape and tape it on. If you're using glue, you glue it on, and you're gonna put it right up to where the flower starts. So you're gonna tape it on, and it looks like this. And like we did with our flowers, we're gonna start wrapping it around. So as we're wrapping it, the stem becomes green and it starts to look more like a flower. Now, I didn't have long enough pieces of scrap paper, so mine stops short there. So what I'm gonna do is take another piece, and it doesn't have to be the same kind, it could be different. And I'm gonna continue putting it on. So I'm gonna take another piece of tape, tape it where the last part of it stops, and keep going around and around. So now you're gonna cut it off. You're gonna tape it off at the end. I'm leaving some room so I can sharpen this pencil later on and use it later. So this is what your flower is gonna look like. Now another thing you could do is, if you want a petal, take more scrap paper, and you're going to cut a leaf shape out. So I just cut out a shape like this, and I can add it to my flowers if I want by, again, attaching it. And if I attach it to the back, it looks like now my flower has a petal, and you could add more up and down or any shapes that you want. So I'm gonna finish with this last one I have. This is another way you could attach the green paper to it, is by taking paper that you have and cutting it down to fit your pencil or the straw you're using or anything else. So now that I cut it this way, I'm going to attach it lengthwise, and we're gonna attach it to the pencil again with glue or tape. So now it's attached, and I'm going to wrap it around my pencil, and this gives it more of a cylindrical stem. And again, gonna tape it off on the end. You can glue it off. And this is what another flower would look like. So by doing this, you're making different interesting flowers, but it's just with scraps you have around your house, and it's not gonna cost anything. So it's a fun way to make presents for people. This is gonna be uploaded to our Instagram and later to our class website. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And I'd love to see the creations you're making. Have a great day.